Features inside of the mesh inner are limited, but then again, do you need many features inside? No. There's one pocket this side to put things in. There's another pocket there. You can't get a regular phone in, so you've got a door here, which obviously is done up with a zip here, and then you've got the bungee cord tie system there, and then you have another door, a hanger, a clip here. You will get two mats in here easily, of course. Given at the back you have these quite upright poles, I do sometimes, thinking about it, get asked about very, very tall people who struggle with the Trailstar and the Mid. This mat, you can see, is right at the very, very end, so you've probably got to shave off a couple of inches there of R, and from the end of the mat to the end of the shelter is the width of one of these. So if you're a very, very tall person who struggles with you know, fitting in a tent, then, you know, this might very well be, you know, long enough for you. Like I said, you need to take off a little bit of distance from there, you know, because it's bunched up. That's clearly not quite the right length, you know, but it's you can see that's pressed down there. So however long this mat is, which is probably 6 feet, and the width of, or maybe a bit less, I'll try and measure it, and the width of that, but a 6 foot person should, you know, fit in here. And also you have these you know, these stalky pole things that keep the ends that keep your end up, so your sleeping bag shouldn't really be touching on the back either. Right, I'm just super quickly taking out the mesh inner now this evening. I apologise if the sound is not normal. This is just the microphone inside the GoPro. I've put the microphone here somewhere. I wasn't originally going to film this, but then I thought, well, I'm doing it and it's part of the shelter, so probably ought to just at least show you a tiny bit, which is about all I'll be able to do, I think, given I've stripped everything out. But effectively you have these clips here all the way around. I hope you can see that. So there's one there, 1, 2, 3. So this can easily be done from hello, this can be done easily from inside the solid inner here. It's beautifully made, and of course, you know, 90% of it is mesh. You have the same hanging thing here for hanging something from. It's just like a D loop here and a D loop there. Only mesh that you have is this one panel here, and obviously the same on this side, the one panel across there. Clearly you have a door. The mesh can't be closed. You've got no way of sealing the mesh. It is a nice shelter. It is beautifully made, and it has stood well to, you know, to not being used for 10 years. Go back 10 years into my videos and you'll see it pitched on the top of Dartmoor before I was camping with Bess. Just go to playlists, how I started or something like that, but there's some playlists there. You'll find it easy, and I've tried to make the channel a bit easier to navigate for some people. We'll do a quick walk around. One thing that I did do when I got it, I did seam seal all of the seams, which you don't normally have to do on a tent. Certainly the Hillebergs never sealed a seam on the Hillebergs. Each one you can see there's a line of silicone on them that I did at the time, somewhere or other, so long ago I can't remember where or how I did that now. It pitches to the ground in, let me try and get out of the sun a bit. So it pitches to the ground quite low in the corners, then it's just in this middle part here. Now there is a little bit of you know, I'm just looking here, but it's quite tight all the way around here. There is a little bit of give here where it could come down a little bit lower, but you know, only that much lower, so not I can't remember whether it pitched to the ground, you know, when I had it or not. I think if you're a tall person, I think this shelter would probably be quite good for you because of the high, you know, back. You know, it doesn't slope down, you know, very quickly. The porch is just about big enough. I had Lassie in the porch behind me and it was just about big enough for her. She was she slept there the night, but she's quite happy roughing it. There's not enough room really to put a bed down or anything like that. It's too tight for that, but she sleeps on the grass most of the time anyway, so I didn't bother putting the bed down. And she seemed quite happy there. So if you like tents, you know, then it is a nice shelter. It's relatively lightweight. The TarpTent 2 with the mesh inner, obviously this is a solid inner that I've got now, but with the mesh inner was 1.3 kilograms, and the main pole that goes across the middle was 240 grams. So effectively, and then add on pegs to that as well, which I haven't weighed pegs, but you know, pegs. But you do need only a minimum of 6 pegs or 8 pegs. You need 6 pegs, 3 for the front, 3 for the back, and then 1 each side. So you only need 8 pegs. You don't need very many. But you need to make sure they're good, strong, solid pegs. Don't use little teeny weeny pegs, because this shelter is going to need, you know, good strong pegs. So the main shelter with the inner is 1.3. The crossing poles is 240 grams. So it's about 1.5 kilograms for a 2-man tent, which I have to say is very, very reasonable. The crossing poles that I've put on, they're 470 grams. So clearly that takes the weight to 2 kilograms. The inner thing here, I weighed that, was 550 grams. So I'm guessing the mesh inner also would be a similar weight. The mesh might be a little bit heavier than this material, but there probably isn't very much in it. So if you don't want the crossing poles, you're looking at about 1.5 kilograms. And if you do want the crossing poles, then you're looking at around about 2 kilograms, which is very reasonable-ish for a 2-person tent, especially if you're, you know, sharing the weight between 2 people. And I would say that you would be reasonably comfortable in here if there was 2 of you, especially if you don't have a dog. If you have a dog, then I think it's going to get quite tight
unless you're happy with the dog trampling over every single thing. But if you don't have a dog, then I would say you would be quite comfortable in here if there was two of you, because you've got, especially with two doors as well, and even if it's raining, you can get inside, you could do the porch door up, and you've got enough room in the porch that one side you could be cooking. You wouldn't necessarily need to cook both sides. You know, if you're together, you're probably going to be cooking together. So one side you could be cooking and things like that. The other side, obviously, I've kept for Lassie, but you could quite easily be putting your packs in there, your boots in there, your shoes and things like that. So, you know, clearly I'm sitting here and I can do all my stuff here. And if there was someone else there, then, you know, they could be there and they can have their room, you know, put their things or whatever in the porch. So I have to say, for a two-person shelter, 3 to 4 seasons, maybe outside of snow, is probably quite a good shelter. I mean, it's not ideal for me. As I've explained, I like to have more space. I like to have more space in this area here where I can put things and things like that, but still be undercover, whereas effectively it is outside. But it, you know, it doesn't matter. It worked out okay. If it rained, then it meant I had to close the door, which I don't like doing. I prefer to keep the door open, and if I'm in a tarp, there isn't, you know, there isn't a door to close. So that's the only real limitation to my mind, and you know, that's about as much as I can, you know, criticize it for, really. I mean, it is a nice shelter. It stood up well to test of time. Like I said, if you are interested in a comparison video between this and the Acto, even if you're not, I might just do one anyway, but mention it below if you are. I mean, it's not an exact comparison because clearly this is a two-person shelter and the Acto is a one-person shelter. I think it will be a good shelter for many people. If you want a roomy, lightweight, 1 or 2 person tent, then I think it would be a good shelter. It's probably better than, and I've not seen Terra Novas or any of these other ones, so, you know, I can't really say anything about those, but the impression that I get is that it would be significantly better than a Terra Nova and most other shelters out there for weight and space and how it's designed and built and everything else like that. Obviously, as Paul Mesner mentioned in his video on the Scarp 1, which he's done, you can only pack it down because of the poles at the back. It doesn't pack very, very tight, but it doesn't matter. It fits in most pack pockets easily enough anyway, so that really isn't a problem at all. You know, the design of it's good, the build of it's good, you know, the stitching looks good. You know, it looks professionally put together, it looks well built. So, you know, if you want this, think about this, but then go and get an MLD, but then go and get an MLD shelter anyway, because, yeah, I prefer MLD definitely. But, you know, if you don't want a tarp or something like that, then, you know, then this clearly is, it is a viable option for those that want a tent. But get an MLD anyway. All right. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification button, etc, etc. And, you know, I will see you in the next video on something or other. Thanks for watching.